Good morning, everyone. This is Mike.
Good morning, this is Francis.
This is the Sight for Wight news on Friday, the 25th of October 2019. Tuesday, the 29th of October. The swimming group are swimming at the waterside pool in Ryde from 8 p.m. until 8:45 p.m. The pool is closed to the public whilst the group swims. There are male and female volunteers to help you get in and out of the pool, as well as lifeguards to ensure your safety. To join the swimming group, please call Sight for Wight first to notify us of your swimming ability. You need to register with the office at Millbrook House first to be able to swim with the group.
Wednesday the 30th of October. The weekly coffee morning will be held at Millbrook House this week from 10 a.m. till 11:30 a.m. There will also be our low vision drop-in between 10 a.m. and 12 noon. This is a weekly event to allow you to view and try the low vision equipment we have at Sight for Wight without the need for an appointment.
Thursday, the 31st of October. The Thursday social group are meeting at Millbrook House. The group meets from 10:30 a.m. until 2 p.m. With the help of volunteers, the group enjoy a number of activities: crosswords, catching up on news and trivia, knitting and crochet. They are currently making decorations for the Sight for Wight Christmas tree and continuing to make pom-poms for the rug. This very friendly mixed group also love to chat and enjoy lunch together. Later in the afternoon, volunteers come in and read to the group on different topics. If you would like to join the group, then please contact the charity on 522205.
Murder Mystery Night. Join us for an evening of murder and mystery at Millbrook House at 6:30 p.m. Ticket price is £10, which includes a simple 2-course supper, glass of wine, coffee and mince. We will also be drawing our annual summer raffle, so there's still a chance to buy a ticket and be in with a chance of winning some great prizes, including a first prize of £100 cash. Parking available via Castle Road, PO30 1DT. For booking inquiries, please contact Sight for Wight on 522205 or email fundraising@iwsb.org.uk.
Any other news? We have been approached by members who would like to find new homes for the following pre-loved items: large older computer, large monitor with built-in speakers, TAVR plus keyboard, Windows XP, also has Supernova which will need updating, Adler Tipper portable typewriter with braille scale, good ribbon, ordinary key Stensbury interlined for writing braille. These items are available free of charge. If you're interested, please contact Laura on 522205 or email members@iwsb.org.uk.
2020 Diaries and Calendars. It's time to order your VIP diaries and calendars. Please note that the suppliers of VIP diaries have now imposed a minimum number for orders that we place on your behalf. Therefore, we will place orders on the following dates: 11th of November, 25th of November, and then a final order on Wednesday the 3rd of December. Any orders after this date will be needed to be made directly by members to the diary company. Prices are as follows: Pocket Diary A6 with cover, week to a view, £5.75. Pocket Diary A6 insert only, week to a view, £5.30. MIDI Diary A5, week to a view, £7.65. Jumbo Diary A4, week to a view, 2 days per page, £21. Desk Diary A4, week to a view, £9.45. Wall Hanging Calendar A3, £6.25. Wall Hanging Dates Reminder, £5.75. To place your order, please contact Laura Jasper, members at iwsb.org.uk, or phone 522205.
The West Wight Coffee and Chat, which takes place at the end of the Line Cafe in Freshwater, has now ended due to declining members. We apologise for any inconvenience.
Possible new audiobook group. Alistair has run the Freshwater Library Audiobook Group for many years and is now looking to start a new one at Sandown Library. If you would be interested in joining the group, please contact Sandown Library on 402748 with your name and contact details, and they will pass on your details to Alistair. Days and times to be arranged once we have an idea of interest. Please note that this group is not run by Sight for Wight. We are just advertising on Alistair's behalf.
Christmas tree decorations. If any member would like to make a Christmas tree decoration for our tree to be displayed at Bryston Christmas Tree Festival in December, preferably in blue and gold colours, but not essential, then please either drop them off at Millbrook House or send in by the end of November.
The Listening Book Group at Freshwater Library is keen for new members. Their next meeting is at the library at 11 a.m. on the 29th of October. Please pass this information on to anyone who is interested. If you would like more information, please call 752377 or send me an email on anna.britton@iow.gov.uk.
This week in touch. What's on telly tonight? Lucy Edwards trials a new smart cane, and Freeview TV embarks on a consultation on accessible electronic programme guides. In 2018, Ofcom set out guidelines for TV providers to make their electronic programme guides, that's EPGSs, accessible. It outlined there should be text-to-speech information as well as magnified text. Programmes that are audio described should also be easy to find. Digital UK, which provides the Freeview platform, is undertaking a consultation on which channel their accessible EPG should appear. Liz Reynolds from Digital UK explains why this consultation is needed. We Walk is a small, smart cane which fits onto a regular cane and provides information about obstacles, as well as giving users access to digital maps via a smartphone. Our reporter, Lucy Edwards, tries one out. The presenter will be Peter Wight, and the producer is Lee Cumutat. Good morning everyone, this is the Isle of Wight County Press for Friday the 25th of October 2019, and we start with the headline that one sea eagle's dead and another missing. One sea eagle dead and another missing. 2 months after their release on the island, Forestry England has confirmed one of the white-tailed sea eagles has died and another, Culver, has gone missing. Culver hit the headlines when he made an early foray to Essex before returning to the island, but shortly afterwards his transmitter stopped giving data. Police and nature organisations on the mainland have been contacted, and island nature lovers have been asked to keep an eye out for him. The male bird who died was spotted eating a dead porpoise on an island beach over several days. Forestry England said, "We knew where he was roosting. When we noticed he had moved to a new place and had not been moving around very much, we immediately went out to investigate. Very sadly, on October the 1st, we found the bird had died. An initial post-mortem has been conducted, and although no cause of death could be determined, further tests are underway that may provide some clarity as to exactly what happened. While this is clearly very sad, we know from various previous projects involving white-tailed eagles and other raptors that losses like this are unfortunately inevitable. During their first year, the birds are inexperienced and depend largely on carrion while they hone their hunting skills. These are now wild birds, and the reality is not all that will make it. Nevertheless, survival rates from similar schemes do offer encouraging signs. In Ireland, 75% of juvenile birds survived their first year, and in Scotland, 37% of birds reached their breeding age of 5 years old. 4 other eagles are still thought to be well, and one has been seen eating carrion in Oxfordshire alongside resident red kites. The birds were released on the island in August in a project by Roy Dennis Foundation and Forestry England. More eagles are set to be released over the next 4 years.
Council tax could rise by 4%. The Isle of Wight Council has to cut its budget by a further £4.5 million, and another council tax rise could be as high as 4%. The savings have to be made by the end of the next financial year, on top of £80 million in the past 8 years. Council leader Councillor Dave Stewart said at this month's Cabinet meeting he hoped the same standard of services could be provided, but for less money, or more income could be generated. He said, "I think it is important people understand where we are as a local authority. It is very challenging. We are in an unpredictable situation. We don't quite know what is going to happen. We have to find the money one way or another to balance the books." Finance Cabinet member Councillor Stuart Hutchinson said the council was in an uncertain position regarding an anticipated annual council tax increase, which could go up by either 2 or 4%. A final decision on the cap has yet to be made by the government. The increase was previously capped at 3%. Councillor Hutchinson said, "The government has told us we are going to have a basic cap of 2%, so we are going to lose £800,000 without blinking. However, there will be consultations on whether we can raise the rates by a further 2%, purely for adult social care, where we have huge pressures because of the growing elderly population. So the rates will have a real impact on the kind of decision we have to make."
A flu jab shortage as Boots running out of vital vaccine. Pharmacist Boots ran out of the flu jab last week, with one staff member blaming it on Brexit shortages. An Isle of Wight resident who booked his flu jab more than 4 weeks ago at Boots Newport arrived for his appointment only to be told he could not have it as he was not a priority case. Although everyone has been encouraged to have a flu jab, some groups of people are prioritised and are entitled to a free jab as they are more at risk, including pregnant women, people over the age of 65, and people with certain medical conditions. When the man who asked not to be named asked staff why he could not have his flu jab, he was told the pharmacy had run out due to Brexit shortages. He was advised to come back the next day when more vaccinations might be available. A Boots UK spokesperson said, "We're very sorry for the inconvenience this must have caused and would like to reassure you we are very shortly receiving more vaccines into our warehouses so we can continue to support customers. Our stores are getting stock of the vaccine on a daily basis. However, in cases where stock of the vaccine is temporarily running low in store due to higher than anticipated levels of local demand, we will prioritise offering the vaccine to our more vulnerable patients, such as those over 65 or pregnant. We always advise customers to book an appointment in advance through our website at boots.com/flu for a vaccination in one of our 2,000 pharmacies. The availability of this service is dependent on the stock level in each store."
156 new police officers. New recruits are set to join Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police as part of Home Office plans to increase officer numbers nationally by 20,000 over the next 3 years. It has been announced 156 new police officers will join Hampshire Constabulary by the end of the 2020-2021 financial year, although the force was unable to say how many would be based on the island. The government has allocated £750 million to increasing police numbers and has pledged to recruit 6,000 new officers nationally. Michael Lane, Hampshire and Isle of Wight Police and Crime Commissioner, said, "I am delighted Hampshire Constabulary will have additional officers as part of the first tranche of uplift announced by the government. This is a very welcome commitment and will keep our communities safer. But it must be seen as but the latest step with more to come. In April, with the support of our communities and of those who pay council tax, I was able to approve an increase in recruiting this year that has already begun and will deliver 210 additional officers to our front line this financial year. There is now a combined commitment of 366 additional officers. I and my Chief Constable are ready to respond as these opportunities come and are ready and keen to go further and earlier to keep our communities safer."
MHI Vestas wins Scottish contract. Wind turbines for Scotland's newest and largest offshore wind farm will be built by MHI Vestas, a major island employer. The MHI Vestas has entered into a preferred supplier agreement with Seagreen Wind Energy Limited to supply and service up to 114 turbines for the wind farm. SSE Renewables is building Seagreen offshore wind farm off the coast of Fife. John Hill, Seagreen Project Director at SSE Renewables, said, "We're really pleased to welcome MHI Vestas to the Seagreen project as our preferred turbine supplier and look forward to working with them to harness the power of the North Sea wind with their proven offshore turbine technology." Philippe Cavey-Fayan, Chief Executive of MHI Vesta Offshore, said, "We are proud to enter into a preferred supply agreement with Seagreen for the supply of our proven wind turbine technology to Scotland's largest offshore wind farm. Scotland is a burgeoning centre for offshore wind, and we are keen to work closely with both the Scottish and UK supply chain to create real value for the local communities as this project becomes a reality. We see the project as a major step forward for the offshore wind industry in the UK and Scotland in particular. This will be our fourth project in Scotland. The site will provide around 5,000 GWh of clean, low-carbon renewable energy for around 1 million homes annually.
Rat run to avoid roadworks endangering children. Claim. BBC local democracy reporter Louise Hill. Angry residents say their estate has become a rat run due to the St Mary's roundabout works, putting children's lives at risk. Standon Avenue residents have formed the Camp Hill Community Action Group, CHCAG, and asked the Isle of Wight Council to provide basic safety measures in the area. The road and others in the Camp Hill estate are privately owned by the Ministry of Justice. Typically, they're just used by residents. However, due to the one-way restrictions on Forest Road, introduced earlier this month while St Mary's roundabout works are carried out, drivers have been using the estate to avoid diversions to Carisbrooke and Yarmouth. Parkhurst Ward Councillor Andrew Garrett said the council should at least erect a sign advising drivers it was a private road. Councillor Garrett said, "The way I see it is the council are causing an issue with the work they are doing. These roads may be not in the council's legal ownership, but they have a moral responsibility to the residents of this lovely, quiet village area. They are the council for the community, so they should act on behalf of the community. Talking to the MOG and asking what they can do to at least make the road safer." Councillor Garrett said problems in the estate that had been overlooked, including poorly lit streets, poor road surfaces, and a lack of road markings and signage, were made worse when extra vehicles used the roads. He continued, "This road is connected by 2 council roads with real traffic management issues. This is a conflict of traffic with a risk of accident. The council could at least show some leadership and say the residents should not put up with it." Some CHCAG members said they had been nearly killed while walking through the estate and using its zebra crossings. "This is a real safety issue," said one resident. "Nobody actually knows there are crossings there. They are not stopping at all." Another added, "We want some consideration. We want it to be made safe and for someone to acknowledge there is a problem. This is not an alternative route. The worst bit is children play in front of their houses, but cars are becoming impatient and actually coming up on the pavement to get past as they don't give way. One of my neighbours won't let her little boy out to play because of the traffic." The CHCAG has held traffic counts on their usually quiet streets to draw attention to the number of vehicles cutting through the estate. On the day of a public meeting to discuss the roadworks, more than 150 cars used the road while children walked to school. On Tuesday, October the 22nd, between 4:15 p.m. and 5 p.m, 110 vehicles, including an Island Roads van and subcontractors involved in the roadworks, used the roads. Forest Road is set to reopen to two-way traffic at the start of November, but with roadworks set to continue for the next 14 months, residents are concerned the traffic problems will continue. An Isle of Wight Council spokesperson said the authority would consider the data from the counts. In the meantime, Any complaints could be reported to Island Roads.
The Bridge of Sighs. The floating bridge saga, which seems to have been running longer than the bridge itself, has taken a new twist with losses of almost £1 million revealed since it entered service in May 2017. The shock figure has led to calls from Councillor Carl Love, who represents East Cowes, for Cabinet member Ian Ward to resign. Floating Bridge 5, which was taken out of service in January 2017, made a profit of over £120,000 in 2015-16. But its replacement has lost money ever since. In 2016-17 it lost over £36,000, nearly £550,000 in 2017-18, more than £300,000 in 2018-19, and £64,000 in the first 5 months of this financial year. The figures came from the Council's Freedom of Information Unit in response to a request from a member of the public. The controversial bridge, which has brought more sighs than the famous one of that name in Venice, has been the subject of a blame game between members of previous independent administration and the current ruling Conservative group. It was built by Welsh boat builders Mainstay Marine at a cost of £3.2 million. It is unarguable that the order was placed on the watch of previous independent council leader Ian Stevens with the original intention that it would become operational by March 2016. But in a recent statement, the current leader of the Island Independent Group, Councillor Debbie Andre, said the councillors were not responsible because the procurement, design and build of the vessel was overseen by a project board. She blamed its members, which included stakeholders and senior council officers. By the time the vessel came into service, the Conservatives have taken control of the council after the shock resignation of Jonathan Bacon, who has succeeded Ian Stevens as leader. The floating bridge has had problems since its maiden voyage on unlucky May the 13th, 2017, having been taken out of service the following day due to a power cut, with frequent interruptions to the service ever since. Whoever is responsible, the costs of dealing with the problem have been eye-watering. The council paid £149,000 to use the barge Sea Clear, to guide the bridge across the Medina during strong tides, and more than £181,000 to provide the Jenny boat launch service for foot passengers. Councillor Love says the new floating bridge was meant to be more efficient, greener and cost-effective. It is none of these things. He claims that at a meeting of the East Cowes Town Council last week, a discussion took place about the possibility of seeking a judicial review of the situation in partnership with other councils. He went on to say, "This financial loss is a step far too great for Councillor Ward to escape unscathed. He has made too many promises, been questioned and challenged and counter-challenged. We have received every kind of explanation, but still no solutions. There are too many PR gaffes for him to remain in charge of transport and infrastructure. With some personal regret, I asked Councillor Ward to step down from his governance of the Transport and Infrastructure Cabinet portfolio." Councillor Stewart said, "People need to remember the vessel had been designed and built before this administration was elected to the council. Since that date, guided by legal advice, we have worked diligently to resolve the challenges thrown at us by the floating bridge. Some say it would have been simpler to take it out of water and send it back. Apart from the fact we could not do so, we would have had no service at all for many months. whilst a different bridge was designed and built, even if money had been available to fund it. He continued, I could present lots of facts and figures and numbers supporting its use and reliability, and I have done so on many occasions at our scrutiny committee. We know it needs to be a regular and reliable service, and in the coming months we aim to show this to be the case. The cost associated with the operation of the bridge during the last 2 years have been a challenge and remain the subject of legal process. They are a mixture of physical works to the boat, external advice, and lower levels of income than might have been expected. Given that the Council is in a more robust financial position than it has been for many years, it seems reasonable that it should meet these costs until such time as the floating bridge is working as everyone had hoped it would do on the day it arrived in May 2017. Replacing the previous floating bridge to ensure future connectivity, particularly for the communities of Cowes and East Cowes, has not been the journey many expected, but we are getting there.
Slippery slope as gritting routes are cut. The Isle of Wight Council has come under fire after announcing fewer roads will be gritted this winter in another cost-cutting measure, with fears raised for elderly people who rely on home care services. Roads including the Military Road, Thorley and Wellow Main Roads, East Ashy Lane and Javerland Road will be struck off the gritting route. The route between Northwood and Shalfleet via Porchfield and Whitehouse Road to Littlefields Cross will be treated in anticipation of more people using the route during the St Mary's roundabout works. 35% of the network will be treated, which the Council said was more than the South East average of 25%. It said a risk assessment had been carried out. The Isle of Wight branch of Unison, which represents health and social care workers, said, there is a real danger communities will be left isolated in winter when residents are at their most vulnerable. We would urge the Council to reconsider this, or at least show us evidence these measures will not affect vulnerable people who need care. To our knowledge, these cuts have been introduced with no democratic scrutiny nor consultation, and that cannot be right. Labour Chair Julian Critchley said, time after time we've been told we have our Tory MP and Council telling us austerity is over, yet the reality is the endless cuts continue. Transport Cabinet member Councillor Ian Ward said, the Council's focus has to be on primary routes, those carrying the highest volumes, including key commuter routes, as it is not practical or economical to sort every road. Despite the need to make savings, we have ensured our arterial routes are covered to keep the island moving. We will monitor the situation and carry out bespoke gritting where necessary. We will also continue to treat pavements in town centre locations.
Tempers flare at St Mary's roundabout public meeting. Angry residents confronted the Isle of Wight Council leader at a public meeting to discuss the St Mary's roundabout works. Around 40 people attended the meeting hosted by the Council at Medina Theatre, which included a presentation on the project followed by a question and answer session. Council leader Dave Stewart had previously advised people to add 15 minutes to their journey time in response to people complaining about delays. He described the roadworks as managed disruption. Kevin Burton, Island Roads Network Manager, said, we cannot possibly build and design a scheme like this without causing disruption. Residents directed questions at the panel, which included Transport Cabinet member Councillor Ian Ward, about a lack of pedestrian routes, school fines for lateness, and a potential criminal record for parents stuck in traffic and a lack of public consultation. One resident said she was insulted the council had not communicated with more people prior to the work starting. In an exchange between the pair, Councillor Stewart said he could not change the past. He said he had attended the meeting to respond to questions, but told the woman she was not obliged to stay and listen to the answers. Colin Rowland, the council's Director of Neighbourhoods, reiterated the £6.5 million project was part of a wider £9.6 million scheme to improve the traffic flow through Newport. He said, "As every islander knows, all roads lead to Newport. There is no silver bullet for Coppins Bridge. There isn't really a design to fix it unless you spend millions of pounds. This work will be to get people away from Coppins Bridge and improve the overall experience of getting to Newport." Councillor Matthew Price, Ward Councillor for Newport North and a vocal critic of the scheme, said the elephant in the room had been overlooked once again, arguing most of the town's traffic problems could be fixed if Coppins Bridge was remodelled. He said, "From the start I have been against this scheme. There is no cure for it unless you switch the lights off at Coppins Bridge, but keep the pedestrian crossings on. People know how to drive. It will work." Speaking after the meeting, Councillor Stewart responded to complaints the council had failed to communicate with islanders about the project. He said, "The communication plan that was set out to deal with all of this, be it social media, a letter or the website, was more than has been done on a lot of things. I don't think we have got it wrong. I have nothing to hide. We made a decision to do something. Not everyone is going to agree. We are engaging with our community and getting some feedback because, at the end of the day, we work for the community. The St Mary's scheme to rip up the roundabout and replace it with traffic light controlled junctions started at the end of September. The project is expected to take 15 months to complete."
Shanklin braced to lose its loos again. Shanklin Town Council were due to discuss the future of the spa site toilets on Shanklin Esplanade last night, Thursday. The agenda says that the toilets are to close on October the 31st and the council will be asked to agree not to reopen them, to pass the responsibility of them back to the appropriate authority, and to cease payment of all utilities from November the 1st. Town Councillor Adrian Whittaker said in advance of the meeting that he believed strongly that closing the facilities would be detrimental to Shanklin's tourism economy, which is already fragile enough, and that as far as he was aware, no consultation had been undertaken with local businesses. He said that he would put forward those points during the town council meeting and would make sure he represented the needs of those he represented. Various toilets across the island were transferred to parish and town councils due to budget pressures on the Isle of Wight Council, who said they would otherwise be closed down. But transferring the costs on to the local precept has proved unpopular in a number of cases. Although local communities often feel strongly that they need to be kept open, it is not always accepted that the costs should fall on the local residents.
Councillors paid £474,488. Isle of Wight councillors received £474,488 in allowances and expenses last year, an increase of more than £13,000 compared with the previous year. According to the 2018-19 figures, which have just been published, councillors received £314,160 in basic allowances, £130,725 in special responsibility allowances, awarded to councillors who hold senior roles such as cabinet members and committee chairs, and £28,880 in expenses. A small allowance was paid to 2 co-optees. Councillors will receive a 2% pay rise this year. In 2018-19, the basic allowance was £7,854. That has risen to £8,011. The special responsibility allowance has also risen from £7,854 to £8,011. Councillors are entitled to claim travel and subsistence expenses. Council leader Councillor Dave Stewart received the biggest payout this year, £1,000 more than the previous year. He received £26,406, which included his basic allowance of £15,708, special responsibility allowance as leader, and travel expenses of almost £3,000.
No answers from Council on PFI cuts. The Isle of Wight Council has slashed more than £600,000 from the Highways PFI budget with a series of service cuts, including reducing CCTV monitoring, street cleaning, grass cutting and winter maintenance. In April, the council said it had found £11 million worth of savings over the remaining 18 years of the contract. It hopes to save £40 million overall. At this month's Scrutiny Committee meeting, Island Roads and council officers said they had saved £608,000 so far and provided a list showing the extent of the cuts. Despite repeated requests for savings figures in each area and details of how the cuts will be implemented, how much money reducing the gritting routes will save, for example, or which roads will no longer be cleaned as often, the council has failed to provide any specifics. Dave Evans, the council's strategic manager for highways and transport, said it was a hefty target to achieve in a contract that had already been agreed. The council hopes the measures will save a further £900,000 by April 2020. The £11 million cuts were identified by J.S. Sundara. The former PFI officer has returned to County Hall as a consultant to find savings in the contract he originally put together. The council said last July he would be paid £70,000 for the work. In fact, he was paid £130,000 for 8 months' work, including £750 a month for accommodation costs, and will remain on the council payroll until April. One of the most controversial cuts has been to the CCTV control room at Island Road's headquarters. Every monitoring job was axed, although the council said the footage could still be accessed if it was needed. The PFI project has come under fire recently after the council said it was not obliged to resurface every road within the first 7 years of the contract. Only 65% of the 818-kilometre road network has been treated to date.
Wolverton raises £25,000 for Age UK Isle of Wight. Wolverton Manor's 2019 Garden Fair saw over 9,500 visitors, helping to raise a record-breaking £25,000 for Age UK Isle of Wight. The cheque was presented by the Wolverton Committee at a thank you coffee morning for all of their hard-working volunteers who enabled the weekend to happen. Every penny of the funds raised stays on the island, helping the charity to meet the ever-growing demand on their services to support older island residents. Elisa Leachman, Charity Fundraising Manager, said, "We are delighted with the amount raised this year. The money will be put to great use, providing older islanders who have no one else to turn to with vital help and support. Thank you so much to all of our volunteers and to everyone that attended, making this our most successful show to date." Next year's show is on Saturday and Sunday, September the 5th and 6th. And on that happy note, ladies and gentlemen, I've just finished the article and I'm about to say goodbye to you. So it's goodbye from Mike.
And goodbye from Francis.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone. This is the County Press for October the 25th. Reading is Barry and
Megan.
And we start with a headline: St George's Park site should have been used for homes. Dear editor, I refer to your lead story of October the 18th concerning the proposed development at St George's Park, Newport. I agree wholeheartedly with Councillor Jones-Evans that the scheme is absolutely terrible. Here we have three colossal conglomerates and an indeterminate garden centre moving into one almost peripheral town location. Aldi has 10,000 stores in 20 countries. Do they really need another in Newport? And whose owner is worth £35.5 billion according to the Forbes rich list. Wickes is only one arm of the enormous Travis Perkins Group, which controls more than 20 companies across the land and whose recently appointed chief executive has an annual salary of £630,000 plus bonds of up to 180%. McDonald's run nearly 40,000 outlets in 120 countries, and their chief executive was paid $21.7 million in 2017. Yet another Mackie D. As for the garden centre, is it to be another branch of an already established garden centre, or another Newport branch of a large national chain, all of which appear to be in a state of takeover flux? What is left of St George's Park will, as usual, be covered in concrete to make way for a huge car park. The usual justification is trotted out for this development: 200 new jobs. OK, this may be true, but the effect on small businesses, not only in Newport, but for miles around, will be that possibly as many, maybe even more, jobs will be lost. What about the nature of these 200 new jobs? How many will be minimum wage affairs that will attract part-timers such as students? Furthermore, how many staff will be on 0 hours contracts? What these corporations are achieving, mostly, is to turn such trading estates into faceless concrete monstrosities. How many decent low-cost homes could have been built on this site? Alan and Neil Shanklin.
And now, on a somewhat lighter note, here is a letter from Caroline Diamond, project manager out on an island. And it's called Literary Love. Thank you to everyone involved in this year's Isle of Wight Literary Festival for supporting Out on an Island, a National Lottery Heritage funded project run by Stonecrab's charity, recording and researching LGBTQ oral histories with an Isle of Wight connection from the last 100 years. We had a stand in the beautiful Northwood House and hosted Claire Summerskill, an actor and stand-up, who gave a talk about her book Gateway to Heaven, detailing lesbian and gay histories and the fight for gay rights. She spoke about how quickly attitudes can change, especially in the current political climate, and the importance of supporting marginalised communities. The festival was excellent and well organised, with an inspiring range of speakers and authors from Kate Adie to Michael Morpurgo and Joe Brand. We are grateful to organisers for encouraging diversity and giving us the opportunity to talk about the importance of sharing stories from an LGBTQ community that has often been ignored or erased in the past. The project is making good progress, and we are keen to hear from anyone else who would like to be involved or who has a story or memorabilia to share. We had some criticism on social media on an Isle of Wight heritage page where people commented that LGBTQ heritage was not part of Isle of Wight heritage. With the support of forward-thinking events like Isle of Wight Literary Festival, we aim to break down the stereotype that the island is like going back to the 1950s and to ensure people feel welcome on the island and are treated equally regardless of their sexuality. Visitors to the Literary Festival and locals alike applauded the project, the first of its kind on the island. And for more information, please email us on outonaniland@stonecrabs.co.uk.
Now is a letter from Nigel Golding of Ryde. In recommending approval for the redevelopment of St George's Park, the planning team leader stated the impact of the project on the town centre would be 4%. Was this figure checked by the same planning expert who failed to spot the bogus statistical basis to the government's demand the Isle of Wight build 9,600 houses over the next 15 years? And if indeed 1,000 pensioners do migrate to the island every year for the next 15 years, as predicted by the official figures, why are the planners not insisting developers provide only homes suitable for, as they might term it, twilight living?
And back to politics. Place X with care, or place your cross with care. Dear Editor, 3 long years of Tory dithering have culminated with the bitterly disappointing spectacle of Johnson fiddling like Nero. A dodgy deal, the Remainer Parliament's boot on the throat of democracy, and anti-Brexit MPs murmuring around the EU like zombie starlings. Meanwhile, a few thousand losers campaigning for a people's vote are lauded by the mass media, ignoring the 17.4 million people that voted Leave. If I may borrow from David Bowie, this ain't Brexit, it's Boriside. A future unfit for purpose and not as advertised. Everyone who cares whether the UK is a free country should place their cross with care at the next general election. It will be the last chance to empower MPs who work for the people, not against them. And that was from Adam Webb from Ryde.
And here is a letter from A. Blackburn of Cowes. Dear Editor, I thought it very kind of South Coast Leisure and Mr. Wakes to do an assessment on the effect that their retail park will have on Newport and the island, as it would always be in their favour. Surely the council should have conducted their own survey before granting this. To think only 50% of the planning committee passed this plan on only the assessment done by the very people who want it. I suppose it is their figures about the number of jobs it might create. Also, some of the people employed by SCL used to work for the council, I believe.
And a short one from D.S. Goodchild, Sussex. Dear Editor, as a long-term visitor to the old Mill Caravan Park in St Helens, I was pleased and amazed that Vine Road on the Green had been resurfaced. However, my joy was short-lived, as it has already become an extension to the car park. Double yellow line should be extended to cover all of its length. thus giving health and safety to all, especially pedestrians. Come on, Isle of Wight Council, complete the job.
And we have real emergency from Mr. A. Wires of Ventnor. The arguments put forward by Tim Bristow against Extinction Rebellion, CP letters 1810-19, are wrong on so many counts that it is hard to know where to begin, so I'll keep it short. In a nutshell, then, Mr. Bristow seems to think that he knows better than the overwhelming majority of climate scientists. Can he seriously believe that they are unaware of the effects of volcanic eruptions and the other natural factors he mentions? The theories he puts forward do not offer a feasible explanation for the disproportionate increase in global warming over the last 100 years or so, which is clearly related to human activity. The latest scientific research, World Meteorological Organization, shows the effect of climate change is speeding up. So yes, there is an emergency. Mr. Bristow's assertion that the proportion of climate change caused by man is minuscule is dangerous nonsense.
And now from Peter Shreve, Assistant District Secretary at Isle of Wight National Education Union. I write to comment on the national £14 billion education funding boost between now and 2022-23, as mentioned in a County Press article. It includes an additional £2.6 billion next year, £4.8 billion the year after that, and £7.1 billion in 22-23. The basic maths is correct. However, as any statistician should tell you, that is not the usual way spending increases are presented. Luke Sibieta, a research fellow from the Institute for Fiscal Studies, summarised the situation recently in the Times Educational Supplement and clarified the extra cash only amounted to £7.1 billion increase because the £14 billion figure double counted increases over the years. The benefit is therefore dramatically overstated, some would say spin, and makes the government seem more generous than it is in fact being. He continued his explanation in the IFS press release. This package presents a large increase in spending per pupil, taking it back to about the same level it was in 2009-10. However, a 13-year period of no net growth in school spending per pupil after inflation still represents a significant squeeze on school budgets when considered in historical terms. Assuming that the IFS is correct, think about what you were earning in 2009 and consider your present financial situation if you had a similar no net growth in your wages right up until 2023. Education Secretary Gavin Williamson said, "We owe it to the next generation to ensure our education system is world class and that nothing stands in the way of our young people having the best choices in life. I am unsure how this is to be achieved with a 13-year period of no net growth in school spending per pupil."
And we have a letter here from Jonathan Fitzgerald of Ventnor. Dear Editor, with reference to Holmes's article on Island Road services, I would like to challenge him to find a worse A road than the A3055 running through Ventnor to Wroxall. It is so potholed and cracked going through the town, it is lethal in places. I believe that there is a law that A roads have to be of a certain standard. I got Ian Ward, the Isle of Wight councillor for roads, to come and have a look. I never heard from him again. Apparently island roads can't cope with any road that has a concrete base.
And on to Wight memories. Here we have a day at the races, tricksters and con men. And this is by Alan Stroud. A racecourse at Ashy? Well, as unlikely as it sounds, there actually was one. A full-blown professional racecourse had been operating next to Ashy railway station since 1882, and it was very successful, attracting up to 3,000 racegoers to some meetings, and in the late 1890s, races were sometimes run for prize money of nearly £100, a year's wages for a lot of people. And on race days there were bookmakers' stands, stalls of every kind, and tricksters and conmen ready to take any money that was left over. Their simple tricks played on people's naivety and involved relatively small sums, but the police and the courts treated them as swindlers of the worst kind, and they received severe sentences if they were caught.
In April 1897, Samuel Barrett and Harry Gardner, described by the county press as rough-looking characters from London, pleaded guilty to, quote, playing a game of chance on the racecourse. Detective Frank Thatcher, on plainclothes duty at Ashy, told the court defendants had a cigar box containing numbered counters and about a dozen wooden checks, the numbers on which supposedly ran from 1 to 36. Witness stated the bystanders were told the purchaser of the cheque bearing the number drawn from a box won the prize money, pooled, but there were only 12 numbers in the box, these being in triplicate to make the total number seem to be 36.
Thus only 4 cheques could win, and prisoners took care those were secured by Confederates in the ring, so it was only by accident the public got hold of a winning cheque. When detected, the prisoners threw their wares right and left, and Gardner bolted. The chairman said prisoners would be sentenced to a month's hard labour. That was a pretty hefty sentence for those days, and Barrett and Gardner begged for a fine on account of wives and children at home. The court was unmoved. Hard labour it was. Joseph Solomon, also a Londoner, was charged with playing a game of chance. The county press reported he pretended to put silver into a purse as an inducement to the public to purchase the purse for half a crown. Before parting with the purse to the customer, the trickster substituted copper and silver coins, so when opened by the purchaser, it was found to contain only 3 pennies.
Of course, it might be said that it served people right for being such fools as to think they would get the purse with the silver coins at the price named. But the fact remained that the public were thoroughly had. Detective Sergeant Moore said the prisoner put 3 half-crowns into a purse and sold it to a soldier named Kemp, who was standing by. When Kemp opened it, he found only 3 pennies, and in brackets it says laughter in the court. Witness then apprehended prisoner and charged him. On him he found 17 purses, 29 pennies, and several half-crowns and 2 shilling pieces. Prisoner asked permission to demonstrate before the court and caused a good deal of amusement with his exhibition. He protested against being treated like that. He was known all over the country. The chairman said he would go to jail for 3 weeks hard labour. Solomon asked for a fine on account of his wife and 10 children. The chairman said no. Private Kemp then asked for a return of his half-crown. The chairman said no. You must lose your half-crown. Perhaps it might teach you to keep your eyes open the next time you go to the races. Brackets, laughter.
Ashy Racecourse went from strength to strength. In 1920, the county press reported undoubtedly the finest steeplechasing since the war was provided at Ashy on Wednesday. The attendance was large, including well-known people from all over the island and mainland. The special trains were crowded and uncomfortably packed, but the arrangements left little to be desired. There was an unusually large number of bookmakers who did extremely good business. The crowds lining the course were as orderly as the management was excellent. Well, all good things come to an end, and for Ashy the end came one Saturday afternoon in March 1931. The owner of the land, Mr. Brown of Ashy Farm, was burning bramble bush trimmings behind the grandstand when the fire got out of control, and in minutes the grandstand and surrounding buildings were destroyed. Despite talk of rebuilding, it was the end for Ashy races.
In 1941, the county press reported, "Those who enjoyed the race meetings at Ashy will be interested to learn that the course is being ploughed. The remains of the grandstand, which has been a landmark for many years, is being pulled down and its site ploughed up." And that was that. Until just a few years ago, when a friend of mine was walking in the fields and noticed something glinting in a hedge. He investigated and was rewarded with a splendid souvenir of a day at the races, nearly 100 years ago. 2 wine glasses and a mineral water bottle bearing the name Jordan and Stanley Newport.
And now on to public information news from Westminster and the Island. Bob Seeley MP. SEN and homes on my agenda. I would like to focus on 2 issues this month: special educational needs, SEN, and housing. Firstly, I regularly meet parents worried about island SEN provision. There can be no greater wish for a parent than to see their child given the best possible start in life. But as with any emotive subject, it's important to establish facts to develop understanding and effective solutions. I'm told our SEN diagnosis is higher than the national average, and our island status hinders access to SEN support. If this is the reality, we must identify underlying causes to generate improvement. Parental input is crucial, and I want to help ensure parents with SEN children can and do engage with the council as much as possible.
The schooling system must be fair for all island children. I raised this issue last week in Parliament, and I'm meeting ministers and island education officers for further discussions. The good news is government is increasing funding for the island schools above inflation and spending another £780 million nationally on SEN provision. Second, housing. As readers will know, I'm campaigning for a new housing to be built for islanders in quantities that respect our environment and our communities. I've told the council I cannot support housing estates that are low density or built on greenfield sites, and certainly not both, because they actively harm the island. It also goes against the island's own planning policy. Low density greenfield sites are utterly unsustainable if we want a greener future. Ryde's planned West Acre site is both low density and on greenfield land. I presume the applicants are calling it West Acre to disguise that it's being built on Westridge Farm. I will oppose this development. This doesn't mean I can block it, but we need to resist housing that is wrong for the island. To participate in my Island Plan survey, please go to Island Vision UK/Island Plan. This could be my last column before a general election. If so, I'd like to say what a privilege it is to represent you in Parliament. I hope to see you on the campaign trail. If it isn't, I look forward to speaking to you next month.
And now Jonathan Young gives his view. Divas, don't demean these brave MPs, Bob. In one of the angriest parliamentary episodes for many years, Boris Johnson, dragged back to the Commons by order of the court, rejected pleas to tone it down or risk violence of the sort, which saw an MP murdered, saying, "I have never heard such humbug in all my life." In the same 48 hours following the end of Parliament's unlawful prorogation, we saw a senior but anonymous cabinet minister threaten the country with rioting if we are still in the EU on November the 1st. And we saw the Shadow Education Secretary subjected to a graphic and foul-mouthed death threat from a serving British soldier. Rather drowned out in those frantic 48 hours were the contributions from less prominent MPs, including the island's Bob Seeley, in a debate entitled Principles of Democracy and the Rights of the Electorate.
His speech included this passage. The last threat to my health and safety that had to be reported to the police was last week. I do not make a song and dance about it. I do not make out that I am a victim. I do not use it for political capital. I make sure my staff are okay. We report it to the police and we crack on. I take it as part of the job, but I do not become a diva about it. How utterly smug. He is a victim, and so is everyone else to whom this sort of stuff happens, and he should be making a song and dance about it. Instead, by accusing others of hamming it up for political gain, he makes other victims more vulnerable by demeaning them and trivialising what is happening. And here is the real standpoint. I do not become a diva about it. So in one misogynistic swipe, Mr. Seeley lumps together a succession of his brave female colleagues fighting a rising tide of political bullying and personal threats, and tells them in effect, calm down, dear, get over it, it's normal.
Perhaps eventually we'll get an apology, a shamefaced admission his words and his whole tenor were wildly ill-judged. More likely, sadly, is that the strategy will continue to be that of the apparently unaccountable Dominique Cummings, who embarked on a victim-blaming spree together with a ragbag of party line towers, telling the divas, the girly swats, the big girls' blouses, that they'd better get on and deliver Brexit if they didn't want more of the same. The number of crimes committed against MPs more than doubled in 2018 to 342 from 151 the year before. In the week following Mr. Seeley's remarks, one leading woman MP received 5 death threats, 2 police visits and over 1,000 abusive messages, some proposing rape and lynching. Belittling what is going on not only flies in the face of the facts, but also emboldens hate-mongers and the lunatic fringe who would cause actual physical harm to politicians they disagree with. Words do have consequences, and in the case of words destined for Hansard, those uttering them really need to taste them properly before spitting them out.
Now we have some details of local events. Theatre, Apollo Theatre, Pyle Street, 25th of October to the 2nd of November at 7:30 p.m, not Sunday or Monday. Jeeves and Worcester in Perfect Nonsense. P.G. Woodhouse, adaptations of P.G. Woodhouse's amusing stories. Tickets available from apollotheatre.org.uk or by calling the box office on 01983 210010.
And Bang Bang Romeo's Island gig, theatrical blues rock 3-piece Bang Bang Romeo, is performing at Strings Bar and venue on Friday, November the 1st, marking the culmination of their Star-Crossed Species UK tour presented by Chalk Pit Records. The band, who hail from Doncaster, were fronted by vocal six-shooter star Walker, a stirring voice for the LGBTQ community. They recently enjoyed a summer tour with Pink. The trio released their most recent single, Love Yourself, featuring Example, on October the 4th, with their debut album out on November the 1st, coinciding with the island date. The band will be supported by island artists Sub-Pacific and Angelina. Chalk Pit Records founder Silas Gregory described them as a band you will see a lot more of in the years to come.
Music, song and dance at Medina Tattoo. Medina Tattoo is making a return, raising money for Wight Aid. On Sunday, November the 3rd, the popular afternoon of music, song and dance returns to Medina Theatre. Among the performers will be pipes and drum bands, Hampshire Caledonian and the Rose and Thistle from Portsmouth. Dancing will be the White Rose Scottish dancers, complemented by Medina Marching Band, the Royal British Legion standard bearers, and an array of island talent, including the South Wight Youth Theatre. The crew and dancers of the inimitable Bloodstone Border Morris will also be providing entertainment, and the compere for the afternoon will be the piano man Matt Black, a comedian and pianist from Bournemouth. The grand finale will welcome a performance from the Piping Hot Doc's own band, White Hot Pipes, who performed at this year's Glastonbury Festival. Tickets are available from Medina Theatre on 823-884.
And at the Shanklin Theatre, Simply Reread, with more than 30 top 40 singles and several of the best-selling albums to choose from, 7-piece band recreates every perfect melody from Mick Hucknall's remarkable global career in an unparalleled display of authenticity and style, guaranteed to keep the audience singing and dancing, and that's on November the 9th at 7:30 p.m. And then there's Oh Goody, an audience with Tim Brooke Taylor. A true master of comedy, shares a wealth of great stories and anecdotes from his career on stage, screen and radio with writer and broadcaster Chris Searle. Tales from, of course, The Goodies, and I'm Sorry I Haven't a Clue, abound, along with a few surprises too. And that's on November the 10th at 3 p.m, all at the Shanklin Theatre. And then there's the Horn section 2019, That's How I Like My Tour. Following their hit BBC Radio 4 series and many years of sellout shows at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival and the London's West End, don't miss everyone's favourite Dictionary Corner regulars on 8 out of 10 Cats Does Countdown, and the first band to ever host Never Mind the Buzzcocks, BBC 2. And that's November the 12th at 8 p.m. at the Shanklin Theatre.
And spooky monkey tricks set to be spectacular. Monkey Haven have tons of seriously spooky shenanigans going on this half-term, including their Spooks and Spiders Spectacular, which will be running every day from Saturday, October the 19th, to Sunday, November the 3rd. Taking place in the brand new Reptile Lodge, visitors will get the chance to meet many creepy crawlies, including some scary stick insects and mad-eyed millipedes. Jordan, Monkey Haven's keeper, will even be getting up close and personal with giant snakes and tarantulas. Over the Halloween weekend on Saturday, October the 26th, and Sunday, October the 27th, there will be Halloween-themed crafts, including face painting, badger making, and glitter tattoos to liven up the spooky mood. Fancy dress is encouraged.
And again at the Shanklin Theatre, there's Christopher Cross, Take Me As I Am 2019 tour. Christopher Cross made history with his 1980 self-titled debut album, which achieved Record of the Year for the single Sailing, Album of the Year, Song of the Year, also for Sailing, and Best New Artist. That's November the 1st at 7:30 p.m. And there's also Andy Fairweather Lowe and the Low Riders. Andy Fairweather Lowe came to prominence as the lead singer in Amen Corner. The 60s saw them clock up hit after pop hit, songs such as Bend Me, Shake Me and Hello Susie. If Paradise Is Half as Nice are internationally remembered to this day. November the 3rd at 7:30. And then lastly, Dave Gorman, with great PowerPoint comes great responsibility point. Dave Gorman, the man behind Dave TV's hit show Modern Life, is goodish, as well as Are You Dave Gorman and Google Whack Adventure is back on the road with a brand new live show, and that's November the 7th at 8 p.m.
Vestas Radio nominated for 3 national awards. The Isle of Wight's community radio station, Vestas Radio, has been recognised at the annual National Community Radio Awards for the 2nd year running. The station made the shortlist, which was whittled down from more than 425 entries submitted from the community radio stations around the United Kingdom. The awards ceremony will take place on Saturday in Barry, Wales. The station has picked up nominations in 3 categories: Sage Person of the Year for those over the age of 60, for presenter Kelvin Curry, Community Show of the Year for its Talking Council programme, and Community Development Project of the Year for its 4Ps project to provide free training to young people. Ian Mack, Vestas radio station manager, said, "We are delighted to have been recognised among many other stations doing great work across the United Kingdom. I am so proud of the hard work and dedication shown by our relatively small team of volunteers. These awards allow them to receive recognition for their talents and determination to make the station what it is. Our flagship 4Ps project is about giving youngsters an opportunity to show their talents, and they have been amazing." Kelvin said, "I am honoured to be nominated for doing something, which I enjoy immensely. I'm in some pretty amazing company in this category, and just being nominated is fantastic."
And a nice piece about the Walk the Wight award winners, and this is accompanied by lots of nice pictures of the young and old who did the walk. Those who walked the Wight with Mountbatten, helping to raise an incredible £242,000, were recognised at an awards ceremony last Thursday. The winners included the Jesters, who won the award for Best Fancy Dress. Jester Pauline Peach said, "We dress up as something different every year. We've done it for the past 15 years since a friend of mine died at the hospice, and we make our own costumes." The Top Dog Award went to pups Mr. Blue and Molly, joined by their owner David Quinn. He said, "This is dedicated to my wife. She died at home, but she went through Mountbatten throughout everything. They helped transform our lives." The Ride Lions Cup for the best team effort in the flat walk went to 4 girl guides. Guide Tessa Bryson, 13, said, "We did it because our guide leader was really ill. She's still with us, but we wanted to show our appreciation and how much we love her. We also did it for all the other people who weren't as fortunate as her. The walk was so tiring, I literally kissed the 1 mile sign." The Achievement Award went to Steve Wright, who died of cancer, age 47, shortly after the event. He completed most of the walk in his wheelchair, but walked across the finish line. Mountbatten Chief Executive Nigel Hartley said, "All of these people have extraordinary stories, very moving stories of people completing this amazing walk against all the odds. This awards event is just a great way of saying thank you to all those people."
And one of the finest collections of postal history of the Isle of Wight in existence will be auctioned in London on Tuesday. The collection was formed by John Minns of Cowes, who died earlier this year, and is expected to raise a considerable amount of money. The collection's earliest item is a letter sent to London in 1689 by Admiral Sir Robert Holmes, Lot 212. A rarer item is the letter sent from Ryde to British Guiana in 1816, showing the only surviving example of the Ryde oval ship letter marking, Lot 217. The letter appears on the front cover of the auction catalogue and is estimated at £1,000 to £1,200. The collection contains envelopes addressed to the island in 1870, having escaped from the siege of Paris by balloon, as well as envelopes sent from Osborne House in the 19th century by members of the royal family, including one addressed in 1892 to the Duke of Argyll by Queen Victoria, Lot 269. As well as the Isle of Wight interest, Mr. Minns had deep philatelic knowledge of British East Africa, and his forensic skills were second to none. John was born on the island, where he lived all his life. He worked in the finance department of the BHC/Westlands Aerospace, and in his younger days played cricket for East Cowes. His interest in philately started in 1960. Fellow collector John Wilkes said, "John's enthusiasm for the stamps and postal history of British East Africa was unbounded, and this enthusiasm, honed by a keen and incisive mind, kindled similar interest in many others. He remained until his death able and willing to give advice and help to those whose knowledge was less comprehensive than his own. And his research and meticulous record-keeping will remain a hugely valuable resource to enthusiasts of the future. He was a fine man and an outstanding philatelist and will be greatly missed." Michael Torregiani of Vestas Philatelic Society said, "John's presentations were always of the highest quality. It was a great sadness that he died just before he was due to show society his latest acquisitions. He owned many items that were unique, especially some of his Isle of Wight ship mail and India letter postal markings. A lot of his material had good stories behind them. Specialist dealer Robert Danzig of Newport said, "There are 3 main Isle of Wight postal history collections in existence, and John's is one of them."
And another little item, musicians Lee Reed and Rick Harris duo performed in the Full Circle Staff Restaurant at St Mary's Hospital as part of Black History Month. NHS staff came together in a celebration which included a special Caribbean menu during the regular folk hospital, which produces concerts for staff, patients and visitors. The latest event was a celebration of the immense role of people whose individual journeys have seen them leave behind their homes, families and culture to deliver the NHS on the island.
And now it's time for goodbye, just for this week. And we hope you enjoyed and found the news of interest. And we hope you have a very nice weekend. This is from Barry
and Megan.
Sight for White's short story writing competition is back, and this year's theme is The Sound of Christmas. Celebrity readers this year are me, Melvin Hayes, Michael Maloney, Adana Minghella and Kate Weston. Entry forms are available from Waterstones in the High Street, Newport, Dress for Less, 114 St James's Street, Newport, or Sight for White, 137 Carisbrooke Road, Newport. Entry fee is just £2 for under 18s and £5 for 18 plus. Closing date is Friday the 8th of November. For more information or to download your entry form, visit iwsb.org.uk or telephone Chris, good old Chris, on 522205.
BBC Sounds. Music, radio, podcasts.
Good evening. What's on telly tonight? Well, obviously, we'd much rather you stayed with us, but we will be looking at the progress made in making programme schedules more accessible for visually impaired people. And old technology meets new to try to make getting around easier.
I'm just going to screw the WeWalk device onto it. Tiny bit fiddly, but once it's on, it's on.
Lucy Edwards has been road testing a smartphone on a stick. Well, there's a bit more to it than that, as you'll find out a little later. But first, last year, the communications regulator Ofcom adopted a policy that all providers of electronic programme guides, those are the list of programmes you can watch on TV and what times they're showing, should be made accessible for visually impaired people. The new code states that speech output should be provided wherever possible, programmes that are signed or which have audio description be made easy to find, and text magnified. Well, some companies offer this accessibly on apps, and there are some smart TVs also which have electronic programme guides or EPGs built in. Freeview, the biggest platform in the UK, is working on implementing this, and it's currently running a consultation. Digital UK's head of external relations, Liz Reynolds, told me more.
So we have a new TV service called Freeview Play, which brings live TV channels and catch-up services from the likes of the BBC, iPlayer and ITV with their ITV Hub. So it brings normal broadcast TV channels together with internet-delivered catch-up services. And I guess it's that new service that has allowed us to start working on this new accessible TV guide, which relies on the internet to be delivered.
So if people want to do this now, if visually impaired people want to do it, what are the options for them?
At the moment, there are a number of manufacturers who have accessible features. They have text-to-speech services, but what's not available at the moment is the option to filter services according to whether you'd like audio description, subtitles or sign services.
So why are you running this consultation? I mean, you've been told what you've got to do. Why do you need to do that?
If I just explain what the Accessible TV Guide will actually be, so the user would tune to the relevant channel and be presented with a high contrast programme guide. They'd then use the remote control, so the up, down, left, right and OK buttons, to navigate around and find the programme they'd like to watch and then select it. It'll be automatically set to speech, which the user can turn off in their TV settings if they would prefer that. And they'll also be able to use the settings to choose what kind of content they'd prefer, so whether it's audio described or signed or with subtitles. And then the guide will then filter those relevant programmes, and only these will be displayed, both for live and on-demand shows. What we're consulting on is which numbers on the remote control to use. We have two options available, 555 or 258. And we've worked with the Digital Accessibility Centre, and they have told us that their preference would be 555 because of the tactile indicator on the number 5 button on the remote control that's normally either a dash or a dot, which is slightly raised. The alternative is 258, which would be a single line of numbers down the middle of the remote control.
Yeah, it's a vertical line. So
that's right.
You just go down, and if you're not very used to doing those things tactilely, that would make it easier.
That's right. So we have these two options, and the reason why we're consulting is we'd like to hear from a wide range of both industry stakeholders and potential users, hopefully some of your listeners, to gauge feedback on which option people would find best.
I mean, obviously, it's good to check with people. I mean, a lot of blind people use telephones and are used to using telephones. Couldn't you just select a channel because it'll hold the process up, won't it?
Those channel numbers that I mentioned are currently used by other channels.
So what are those numbers that you'd like to choose? What are they being used for at the moment?
There are other TV services in the UK that rely on Freeview's channels. So YouView, EETV, Now TV, they all use our EPG listing. And some of those services are, as I said, using those channel numbers for other services. One of them is using it for a channel called ZTV. So obviously that has an impact on those channels were they to have to move.
Yeah, you'd have to get them to modify what they do before you could do what you want to do.
Well, they'd have to move to a different channel number. And obviously that would take some planning from their side. So we have to do this in a responsible manner.
So if it comes out as 555, you know, if people say that's the one we want, because clearly that's the very easiest, will they then have to move?
We will take all things into consideration, and we will work closely with the other services to implement whatever is best for users of the service.
Will it be an issue of negotiation, or will you say if people have asked for that, they will get it?
We'd obviously like to hear from as many potential users as possible, and the more people respond, the more weight there is behind the argument, we will be able to take those responses into consideration and work with the other services.
Will the accessible electronic TV guide, will it work on all TVs?
It will work on Freeview Play TVs. So people would need a Freeview Play TV or a set-top box, and about 60% of all smart TVs sold now are Freeview Play, and they're available from a range of manufacturers at a range of price points.
So that's what you would need to ask for. It would be a good idea to go in and say, will I be able to get this service on this television that I'm buying?
That's right. If people are buying a new TV or a new box, they should definitely ask their retailer if it's Freeview Play, and that will then allow them to access the new guide.
What do you think the timescale on this will be? You're mounting a consultation now. When might your electronic guide be available to people?
We're hoping to launch in the summer of next year, in summer 2020. We've already been working with the RNIB, Action on Hearing Loss and Age UK and AbilityNet on our proposals, and we're hoping to be able to work further with them on some user testing as well.
Well, when you say user testing, will you be trialling this with visually impaired people?
That's right, yes.
Individuals, not just talking to organisations?
Yes, that's right, yes.
Liz Reynolds from Digital UK. And if you'd like to take part in that consultation, you can find it online at www.digitaluk.co.uk/policy/consultations. And there's more information on our website. Next week, we're going to be looking at education amid ongoing concerns about the funding available to meet the needs of visually impaired children. So, if you're experiencing problems getting your blind or partially sighted child or young person into the school you think most appropriate, whether it's a mainstream school or one providing special education, do get in contact with us. You can leave a voice message for us, that's 0161 836 1338, or you can email in touch at bbc.co.uk. Now, the news on last week's programme that Scotland was introducing a ban on pavement parking was generally welcomed, but Andrew Curry questions the idea of a blanket ban because of the state of many roads. He says many people park on the pavement badly, but they do it for a reason. It's an offence to prevent passage along a public road. If no drivers ever parked on the pavement, he says, there'd be serious implications, particularly for larger emergency vehicles. Simply prosecuting pavement parking is not a solution. And Gareth Payne makes a similar point. He emailed to say, where I live in South Wales, the roads are so narrow that the only way for cars to pass along the road is for vehicles to be parked on the pavement. The local residents walk along the centre of the road as the only safe way to get along the street. Gareth says, sadly, until the infrastructure changes, it won't be possible to implement the Scottish law, as to do so here would mean excluding parked cars from our street, and in doing that, prevent my neighbours with mobility impairments from getting to their homes. Well, however we navigate our way around those parked cars and all the other unforeseen hazards like overhanging bushes and unprotected holes, the chances are that despite the march of technology, most of us who venture out alone still do it either with a white cane or a dog to guide us. But will a new attempt to combine old technology with new change the landscape? Our reporter Lucy Edwards has been finding out.
You may have seen many articles floating around social media featuring the new high-tech smart cane named WeWalk. Everyone who is sighted on my feed is really excited that a cane can tell you where to go and warn you where obstacles are in front of you. But will blind people actually use it? Let's give it a go. I've got the WeWalk package in front of me. I've just opened it and here's the WeWalk. It's triangular in shape, about 30 centimetres long, thinner at the top where you hold it, and it's got a lovely grippable material. It's quite long for a handle and quite heavy as handles go, probably as heavy as a normal Wight cane is altogether, just in the handle. You don't feel like you're going to drop it. From the end where you hold it, you have vibration buttons so you can feel the obstacles above waist height. You've got a touchpad and you've got an ultrasonic sensor and an LED light. On the back of the device, you've got a power button, a speaker, and you've got a microphone. And also in the box is a Wight cane that you can attach your WeWalk to, a charger, a bag and a wrist strap. It costs £400. Oh, hello there. Hi there.
Hi, it's Jean-Marc. I'm Gökhan's colleague.
Jean-Marc. Lovely to meet you too. I'm sitting just outside of London Euston on this crowded, busy Friday afternoon. We've grabbed a seat just at the side to chat about the WeWalk cane. Now, sitting in front of me is the co-founder and the R&D lead, Jean-Marc. Now, how does the WeWalk cane work?
So WeWalk's a smart cane. It's this attachment which has basically everything you'd find in a phone. A processor, a gyroscope, a compass, an accelerometer. And it attaches on top of any cane. So basically, if you imagine a Wight cane has a handle on top, we took off that handle and we put in WeWalk. So it's a super familiar experience. You can use it when you want to use it. If you don't want to use it, it just turns into a normal cane. But when you do use it, you've got all these cool features. Firstly, you've got an ultrasonic sensor at the very front that vibrates to let you know if there are upper body obstacles like tree branches or signs. But when you connect it to your phone by Bluetooth, you've got a touchpad as well. So you can control your phone, you can control Google Maps, speak to Amazon Alexa straight from the canes.
And why is WeWalk smart cane better than any other smart cane on the market? Because there's lots out there.
Yeah, well, we're different. So we've got this open platform where organizations like Amazon, like Google, and now we're working with Microsoft as well in their AI for Good program to sort of make these visually impaired accessible custom applications that can be controlled straight from a user's cane. And no one's definitely done that before.
And why do all those features help visually impaired people in a busy environment such as this one?
Well, I can tell you from personal experience and from our co-founder's personal experience as well, because he's also visually impaired. It's just so many mobile applications. Whilst there are some amazing ones out there like Blind Square and Soundscape, most just aren't that accessible, and you end up holding your phone in one hand where it's just super cumbersome. You've got your cane in the other, and you've got so many busy environments, and you've got to look where you're going. It's not great, and we just want to simplify that.
And you're saying you're transforming the way that people use canes and the cane experience, but why are there so many blind and visually impaired people out there still going to their trusty old long white cane that is their trusty steed? Why is this still the case?
It's because it works. It has to be said, it's so basic, it doesn't do much, but what it does well, and what it does is give you literally detection of obstacles that are right in front of you on the ground like steps. Having a cane is better than nothing. There's so much room for improvement. It's just that improvement hasn't come, and there's no choice. It's not like we're competing with anyone. It's just literally no one has thought, okay, maybe this Wight cane that's literally Stone Age technology, maybe we can build up on that. And I think that's really the reason why the visually impaired have relied on it, because there's just no other option.
I'm back home now to test WeWalk in my local area on my familiar routes, and I'm just going to put it together. I'm going to put the head onto the actual cane, so I'm just going to open my cane. I'm just going to screw the WeWalk device onto it. Tiny bit fiddly, but once it's on, it's on. So on the back of the device is the power. Just going to hold it for 3 seconds. Oh, it's vibrating. Made a Mario Kart noise. I'm going to go on the WeWalk app, which I've downloaded on my smartphone.
WeWalk. How to connect WeWalk. Selected. Connect WeWalk.
So it's using Bluetooth to connect WeWalk. I'm going to allow Bluetooth. Ooh!
Welcome to WeWalk gesture training.
So it instantly found the cane. It's still vibrating though. It must be using a lot of battery. So the WeWalk has 2 modes, a standalone mode and a connected mode. In standalone, you can do obstacle detection, battery notifications and the time. So a bit more simplistic than the connected mode, which I will demonstrate some features of. When it's connected to the app, it is a bit more intuitive and gives you quite a lot more notifications on where you are, Google Maps, you can connect it to your Alexa, all that good stuff. Okay, we're outside. Now I've just walked up the pavement a little bit next to a busier road, and we're going to test out the Google Maps integration on this app. So you have to actually access Google Maps from inside the WeWalk app, and it says mine's been enabled.
Start navigation to a safe location.
Doing this on the go is quite complicated, and there's a lot to think about. If I'm thinking about the cane and all of the obstacles on the ground, and then thinking about the vibration from the WeWalk, and then thinking about my iPhone as well, it's all slightly brain overload, but I'm sure you may be able to get used to it. The vibration is actually quite intuitive, so when I'm coming up to cars and things, it is vibrating, and when I swipe my cane left and right, it's telling me what's an obstacle above waist height. So I'm just going to start typing to search location. So I'm just going to put Tesco. Tesco. Other shops are available, but I know that that's near my area. Done. Let's get on the move. Ooh. After 15 metres turn. This is the cane talking now. I'm swiping on the touchpad to navigate Google Maps. Oh, that's quite quiet. I think it's 900 and something turn right. See, with all the car noise out here, I can't hear the WeWalk. No, I really can't hear it. The WeWalk touchpad does not work when you've got gloves on, and it's not recommended to have the WeWalk in extreme cold temperatures and extreme heat. So don't come out in the freezing cold minus temperatures with it, because it could wreck your handset. Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that, to be honest, because the only reason these days I do actually use my white cane is when Olga isn't able to work due to snow, because she can't see the curbs. With the WeWalk handle on my normal white cane here, makes it really difficult for me to feel the different textures, because the hand's a bit more bulky. So I would say it's slightly, only slightly, if I'm being picky, impairs your ability to feel the ground. Yay! Woo! That's Tesco. But to be honest, I don't know whether that was just my cane skills and Google Maps or the WeWalk. I think for this cane user, it is just a bit too much information for me now. Maybe after a few days of using it, I would tell you something different. But because I'm used to my old ways with my guide dog and my cane, I think I'm going to stick to those just for now.
Lucy Edwards. And that's it for today. From me, Peter Wight, producer Lee Kumatat and the team. Goodbye.
Good morning, everyone. We start off with the scaffolding news for Friday, the 25th of October, 2019. The list of known footway obstructions for works including scaffolding, hoarding, also details of skips, cranes and cherry pickers. We are unable to include end dates, as many are extended on a week-by-week basis. And we start off with the Cows area. The current scaffolds: Cameos, Bath Road, Cows; Regency House, 42 High Street, Cows; pending scaffolds: Beckford House, 10 Beckford Road, Cows, also in West Hill; 3 Dover Road, East Cows. Current hoarding is Jolliffe's Chandlery, Shooters Hill, Cows. Current skips: 12 Oakfield Road, East Cows. Current cherry picker, Cows High Street, Cows, putting up Christmas lights.
Newport area. Current scaffolds: 4 St James Street, Newport. Phones for you, 50 High Street, Newport. 146 High Street, Newport. 36 Key Street, Newport. 11 High Street, Newport. 48 to 49 High Street, Newport. Pending scaffolds: 10 St Thomas's Square, Newport. Holyrood Hall, 70 High Street, Newport. current cherry picker, Laura Ashley High Street and St Thomas's Square, Newport, pending cherry picker, God's Providence, St Thomas's Square.
Ride area, current scaffolds, flats 31 to 36 Marymead Close Ride, Boots 170 High Street Ride, 79 Park Road, with scaffolding also in Player Street Ride, Hill House, the Mall, Brading, 8 and 9 East Street Ride, 152 High Street Ride, 171 High Street Ride next to Boots, current skips, 14 Ray Street Ride, 22 Reed Street Ride, 42 Foreland Road, Bembridge. Current building materials on the highway, the junction of Green Street and Station Street Ride, opposite the youth centre, Well Street Ride.
Sandown and Shanklin area, current scaffolds, Sandown Saver Centre, Albert Road, Sandown. Current hoardings, Premier Inn, 1 to 9, The Esplanade, Sandown. Current mobile crane, Premier Inn, 1 to 9, Esplanade, Sandown. Current skips, 5, Hill Street, Sandown.
The Ventnor area, current scaffolds, corner of Trinity Road and Madeira Road, Ventnor, 1 Boniface Road and into Trinity Road, Ventnor. Current skips, The Glebe, Spanners Close, Chale. West Wight area, current scaffolds, Hursts, 9 School Green Road, Freshwater. Current skip is Hurstleigh, the Broadway, Totland. Elm Cottage, Omani Road, Yarmouth. And vehicle crossings under construction, 57 Foreland Road, Bembridge, plots 1 and 2, 109 to 117 Newnham Road, Ryde, 10 Inglewood Park, Ventnor, Fulling Mills, Westover, Calbourne, 6A Hollowglade, God's Hill, 47A Moorview, God's Hill, 40 Newport Road, Cowes.